There was once a man who thought his past defined him, and his trauma basically trapped him in a future of misery. But then he fortunately met a philosopher who told him your past does not define you, but your choices today do. And that was like, okay. So basically, on my wild quest to find the most phenomenal or like the best book to read, I somehow came across this book, right? And it's not like your average chapter 1, chapter 2, read through, read out, read in, read out, read through, read up, read down. It was somehow different. It was more of like a dialogue between two different people. So I basically felt like the third person amongst two people just conversing, like the invisible third person, a third party, and that was like already intriguing because I normally get bored easily, right? The first few, I think, minutes, first few hours of reading the book, I can immediately know if I will continue reading the book or if I generally will finish reading the book. But then while reading this book, right, I constantly like kept on reading. Like the book was that fascinating and just kept me reading and reading and reading and reading. And when I tell you guys, right, this book came in, flipped my head back, forward, up, down. It made me see things from a whole different perspective, a whole different side, a whole different point of view. You think it's funny because it's like it literally came in and contradicted every single thing I somehow knew. Not every single thing, but at least most of the things I had known. From the thumbnail, you've probably seen like the title of the book is basically The Courage to Be Disliked, and normally you think it would be like something like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, or like a book generally just teaching you about not caring about what people think or just not trying to please people. And it did teach me that, but it didn't quite start off like that. It started off quite different. And so here are the top things I learned from this book, right? The first, it spoke about trauma, right? It spoke about denying trauma, right? If you've watched my past videos, my previous videos, I am bent. Till this day, I am still bent on the fact that trauma is real and trauma affects you in so many different ways. But then the book came in and contradicted Freudian psychology, which states we are somehow shapes and products of our trauma. By bringing forth Alderian psychology, we state our trauma, our past experiences has absolutely nothing to do with our choices and our present day activities. And it usually says just because you went through shit, just because you went through nonsense, doesn't give you the right to, you know, to, I don't know, stay in that zone or just constantly act based off of that. And this is quite contradictory because honestly, I will forever believe trauma is real. And I've stated trauma not only affects you, but will affect your generations to come. But at the end of the day, this book, right, this chapter made me understand that, okay, wait, even if trauma is real, at the end of the day, you choose how you let it affect you. You choose how you acknowledge the trauma. Let's say, for example, a kid who somehow went through a traumatic childhood now decides to isolate themselves and not socialize with people as they grow up, as they mature up. Just because you went through shit as a child doesn't give you the right to, you know, isolate or just generally not socialize. So again, you see where the book now taught me, okay, sometimes people don't just do things based off what they've been through, they do things because they want to do things, right? So you deciding not to socialize, you deciding not to go out, it's not because you went through shit, because you are making a constant decision every single day. You are choosing not to socialize, you are choosing not to go out, and you are choosing all of those thoughts, right? So I somehow learned a lot just from, and honestly speaking, that is something like really amazing. What I learned from this chapter is I will not completely go against the fact, okay, trauma isn't real, because I do believe trauma is real, but at the end of the day, you decide and you choose how you want to let your trauma affect you and how you basically want to acknowledge your trauma. Also spoke about interpersonal relationships, right? It basically spoke about all of our anxiety, our self-doubt, our self-limiting beliefs, our fear, all of those things all stem from interpersonal relationships with people, right? Most of the times when we feel anxious, when we doubt ourselves, when we feel certain ways, it all stems from us socializing, or to an extent us trying to seek validation from other people, the fear of being rejected and all of those. Also spoke about, like, it also touched on a like very important topic, which was inferiority and inferiority complex. If you know what inferiority is, then you definitely know it's the feeling of being small or just generally feeling small, right? What this book taught me was like, okay, it's okay to feel inferior. The feeling of inferior somehow serves as catalyst for you to, you know, get to your higher self or the self in which you want to be, like the better version of you, the best version of you. And personal example, all the times in which I upgraded my life, or I got to a certain point in which I wanted to get to, or after moments where I felt like, okay, I feel kind of small, I feel kind of tiny, I need to go, I need to put my game up. And that inferiority, the feeling of inferiority is absolutely normal. But inferiority complex now is the constant feeling of feeling inferior, which there is a problem. If you have the inferiority complex, you need to stop, and that is completely wrong. Also spoke about discarding other people's tasks, right? Learning to do what you need to do and not giving a damn about what anyone else has to do. And this is quite kind of like contradictory, but learning to understand that what you need to do, you need to do what someone else needs to do. They need to stop trying to please people, stop trying to interfere in other people's tasks, in other people's lives, stop trying to seek approval, and just do what you need to do. Let people do what they need to do. That has absolutely nothing to do with you. For example, if a kid is refusing to study, that has nothing to do with you, that's not your business. Let them focus on that task. I think that's the example that was given. Somehow you can link it, I don't know. It spoke on courage comes from not avoiding fear. It comes from acting despite fear, right? Do it scared, do it anxious, do it, I don't know, depressed, however you want to do it, just get it done. That's the only way you're gonna move forward, by just getting things done. Spoke about the past. I literally picked up, like, sometimes it's like happiness is not something you chase, it's something you create, right? People constantly live in the constant state of regretting the past, or generally just fearing the future. And happiness is not something that you somehow, wait for it or chase it. You do it here, you do it now, okay? Don't postpone the task. Don't say, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, I'm gonna do it next week, I'm gonna do it the week after that. Do it now, do it here, and just get it generally done. The only real time you have is now. It's not tomorrow, it's not the next minute, it's not the next hour, it's now. Do it now. I also spoke about freedom comes from being okay with being disliked. Once you're okay with people not liking you, people not, vibing with you, that's when you truly start becoming free. That's when you truly start doing things as your authentic self, or for your authentic self. So that was something it touched upon. Another one which I kind of find interesting was talking about life is not a competition, right? We somehow live in today's society which everything is like, I need to be the best, I need to be better, I need to do this. And basically, you always get people talk about my enemies. Instead of seeing people as your enemies, just see them as your, people in society generally, because people have their comrades, they have their enemies. I'm not gonna lie, if I catch him up on the block, you're gonna get shot. That's what, it's war. That's what it spoke about. It spoke about, instead of seeing people as your enemies or your comrades, you need to learn to see people as just people generally in society, right? Instead of trying to, be the best or be better than everyone, just see it as everyone truly being different. And instead of trying to surpass or become more than someone else, just understand that we all have like a significant role to play in society. So instead of trying to be like on top, just see how you can provide, see how you can pitch in, see how you can, how do I put it, contribute into the general well-being. So people are not your enemies, people are not your this, people are not your that. People are just people in society, and you need to learn to live amongst them. Also spoke about society the feeling of generally being alone. I think he touched on like 3 basic things when it came to society. He touched on love, he touched on, I think, finding a purpose, and something like that. It touched on a lot of things. I'm not going to spoil the book for you. I can't go detailing about things here, but that's what it touched on. I think it's spoken, which took me quite a while to somehow I somehow understood it when I was doing the summary, was horizontal and vertical relationships, right? It spoke about how instead of trying to build like vertical relationships, try building horizontal relationships. And the difference between this is vertical relationships, you see people as hierarchy, superiority, superior, inferior, there's a certain level of, I feel like this person is bigger than me, I feel like this person is more than me, I feel like this person is less than me, I feel like I'm less than this person, I feel like I'm more than this person. Instead of seeing things from that perspective or from that angle of like, oh my god, they might be more than me, building horizontal relationships now is seeing things from we are all equal, we are all different, we bring, we contribute, we somehow form a whole bond of society. We somehow form the whole societal movement or something like that. So instead of building vertical relationships, learn to build horizontal relationships, right? That is going to save you from so many different feelings of generally feeling inferior or just feeling. Another thing it touched on was life, the meaning of giving life, right? You do not chase your purpose, you do not find your purpose, you do not go around being like, you always hear people say this, I'm trying to find myself, I'm trying to become. No, you do all of that by literally, you do not find your purpose, you create your purpose, right? You create who you are by your actions and your decisions you take every single day. So the only way you can somehow find yourself or somehow whatever is by creating yourself through your daily activities, daily habits, and all the rest. The last but not least, and the most amazing part was when he spoke about the courage to be happy is the courage to be disliked. Is the courage not to seek validation, is the courage not to, walk around and, expect people to, no. The courage to be happy is the courage to be disliked. I hope I managed to touch on everything. If I recommend a book to you, please do me a favor and read it, okay? When I tell you guys this book came in, flipped my entire head upside down, made me see things from so many different angles, you'll think it's a joke. I learned so much from this book. And I didn't really touch on everything, so hopefully I didn't spoil the book for you. Feel free to drop in the comment section the different books that changed your life, the different books that changed your perspective, so I can read it just as you're gonna read my book. Okay, just as you are going to read my book. If you want to, it's your choice, whatever you want to do.